Move on to the next story where we have the Lagos State government taking over regulatory control at the Ikeja and Iko discos. So according to the Lagos State government, it has taken control over its electricity markets following the transfer of regulatory oversight from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, to the Lagos State Electricity Regulatory Commission, LASERC, in a groundbreaking development for Nigeria's electricity sector. Should that be good news? Do you think that Lagos State will better manage the discos? Doc?
Well, I think the Electricity Bill 2023 has made this possible, and Lagos being the first to take over the management of Eko electricity and Ikeja distribution. So what that means is that Lagos had the capacity really, because if you remember why this dispensation started, Lagos started its IPP since 1999, and the IPPs are running. The IPP supplies all Lagos facility, 24/7 lights. So what that means is that to a very large extent, within their scope, they have been able to do some certain things. And because they've been in this environment for this long, the capacity to manage is fine. And if you remember the last time, I think it was last week when we were speaking with the Middle Court, and said Lagos has systems in place. And I think there'll be a lot of difference. See, when you find that where regulation is not too far, that Lagos State government can see from its window what the discos are doing. And that will make it really difficult for Abuja to oversight what is happening in Lagos. So we require plenty of travel. Lagos don't need to travel. So they'll be able to see from State House, they can see EKDC. From Alausa, they can see Ikeja Disco and understand what these people are doing and what effort is made to actually give people light and ensure that those lights are affordable and nobody is exploited.
That's a good one if we're talking about oversight, because one issue is the fact where consumers have complaints and they're not attended to, or they're not attended to in the way they should be. I personally have had an experience with EKDC, and the manner in which it was resolved was quite impressive. I don't think that this is not to actually maybe blow their trumpets for them, but let's do some comparison. What you find in some discos. I too have had an experience with a disco operating in another state, and if I would compare, I think that there was more professionalism and customer being put in, consideration and giving preference so that you were satisfied. But let's look at this being replicated in other states. What is the ability of the state government to handle electricity distribution in their state if we're to go this route?
Okay, so I want to answer that just using reference to restructuring. In 2017, the topic about restructuring came out strongly in Nigeria, and we know the regions or the persons who were demanding for restructuring, and the argument of others who felt that no, they don't understand the word. What is restructuring? What do you mean by restructuring? Could you please define it?
Because we use it a lot in this country, so excuse those who are confused.
There's a lot of ambiguity.
I can bet you that on this table we'll have more than 3 definitions.
Of restructuring.
But in this specific case, they understood what it meant.
So
because they are politicians.
They were being sarcastic.
Yeah, in fact, they don't understand. They were being intentionally, seriously sarcastic. But no, they were arguing a case, just the way the tax reform bill is going, and they're asking for definition of some terms. And it's good because it's a bill, it should be defined. And they were asking, what is restructuring? Let's define it. And I liked the intrigue, and I was watching. So, and then I said it. I said, look, the definition of restructuring is simple. States, they will be the one to bail the cats. Because what we are talking about restructuring.
You see, that is meaning to you.
Oh,
now, what is a structure?
No.
It seems like we brought in
No, because it's important to know.
Because I want to dissect that.
He makes it simplistic, which is not. And that's a question that a lot of people are asking. Because you don't make things look as if they are simple. If you say restructure, you're looking at structure and to redesign a structure.
Yes.
Now, it could mean that we are talking about Nigeria has a 3-tier government. We want it 2, or we want 4. Or we have 3 levels of government. We want 2 now, or we want 1 more, or we want 4. Or we simply want to reduce the size of public service.
So basically changing the existing structure.
So which structure are we changing? And this is the question people are asking. So if you want to do a restructuring, you have to define the structure you want to change. So some people say, oh, for them restructuring is true federalism, which is of course a different conversation. Now, some people say restructuring for them is going back to the 3 regions.
So let's bring it now to the power sector. If we want to restructure
people are saying that
distribution chain, if we want to restructure that chain in the power sector, what would that mean?
Okay, so that's why I was trying to say that, okay, states are going to build the cat, and obviously we see what Lagos is doing and where it's heading with this. It is going to serve as a template for other states to copy. Now, they are taking control of the power sector in their state because there has been a law that states can manage intra-state power distribution and power management, including facilities and all of that. And Lagos is going in there. It's going to be, other states will watch to see how efficient it's going to be, how the companies in there are going to be benefiting from this, who Lagos state government will be giving priority to, and cost effectiveness that they are going to pay in doing that. And if are you paying for what you get, or you're not paying for what you get? And
so the issue of energy theft will be a serious issue.
It will be because I remember you just said it earlier here that if you look at the way they manage their own power here in Lagos and the way they relate to it's now like a business, not the bureaucratic disposition that government institutions used to give those like I am
but
doing.
But shouldn't we be worried that bureaucratic disposition would come to play when some states begin to handle distribution?
Handle it like business, because if you look at Lagos State, they
have State, we can be rest assured that
development.
Yes, for Lagos State, we can be rest assured it to be handled as business. We're talking about replicating this. Is there a need to even replicate this?
Oh, replicate it. Lagos State is not going to do it for other states.
No, I'm talking about in other states. Do other state governments have the capacity to handle distribution?
Structure. Let's talk about putting structure in place. There was a day we were conversing in this table, and Doctor made it abundantly clear that in concerning Lagos State, there has been a structure, a plan for a specific period of time and place, irrespective of who comes to the reins of power.
So
already has a blueprint in direction and can make a good audit of its predecessor, where the works of the predecessor stopped, and to take the baton from there and to run with it. Now, that means if another political party comes into the saddle too, he is bound by that law to follow that blueprint and that plan. So maybe other states need to do that, because if they do not do that, because that's the beginning. And even nationally, if we begin to speak, that is the problem there. Because you see, if we are to even cast our minds back, the Association of Better Nigeria, the Obasanjo program of agriculture and some other programs, both military and civilian administration put in place, immediately they left the saddle of power. Those programs died because the other administration that came into place either petitioned it completely and established their own. So there needs to be a law to make sure that we have a national direction. And I don't really think our national development plan has done enough for that purpose. So, regards to Lagos and with power, I think it serves as a template for other states.
You are even talking about national development plan. The last time we had a training with the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, and one of the issues where we had real difficulty was the fact that there were so many queries to MDAs, and in fact, it was like victimization. But the staff of the Attorney General Office was saying, look, the truth of the matter is, we have a medium-term economic framework, MTEF, which guides the budget preparation. What that means is that the MTEF is where the federal government is going in these 3 years. Now, what MDA are supposed to be doing is organizing their budget around that MTEF to move that direction. But what do you find? Nobody even refers the MTEF while they are doing their budget. And so you could have a plan, but the plan is not working. The difference between Lagos and every other place is that in Lagos, government is run as a business. In other states, it is not. And that's the difference. A friend of mine parked a vehicle outside by the roadside, and by the time he got home, he has gotten an alert on his phone. Wrong parking, fine, figure, pay here. This is happening in Lagos.
Yes.
And there are mounting cameras everywhere to be able to monitor things that are happening. That's what I'm saying. There's structure in place. Discos in Lagos will sit up because the honeymoon is over and it's time for business. And I'm very sure that Lagos will not want to lose a moment from benefiting from these largesse.
They don't joke with money.
That the Electricity Act has made possible. And they will make good. And I'm also thinking and hoping that Lagos will set up a competition for the Eco and Ikeja electricity so that there can be competition. And where there's competition, the consumers benefit.
Now, my worry about this is that for Lagos State, I don't think we have much worry because Lagos State has shown the example that when it comes to managing enterprise, it does not run it like we know how government enterprises are run. Because when government takes over business in Nigeria, the general assumption is that government has no business doing business. And so you're just expecting that that business will be run aground because you would not find the business element in there. There is no accountability. So whoever is in charge is more like this is your personal business, money comes into your pocket. You don't find excellence. You don't find efficiency there. But if you look at some areas that the Lagos State government has branched into and runs as an enterprise, you will find that some of these general assumptions are absent there in reality. Let's look at the transportation sector in the way they run the BRT. You find that has been ongoing and it's still running, though there are areas where improvement
It's not perfect.
It is not perfect, but at least it's a system that is functioning. Now, if you look at other areas, they have functional enterprises that you can say this has been run like a business. Let's flip the coin and get to other states. We'll find that missing. The ability of state agencies to manage enterprises of government. Now, if Lagos State is setting the pace by being given oversight functions oversight over the distribution, we expect that issue of, there is extortion, there is estimated billing, that should be curtailed. If not stopped totally, we expect that there should be meters allocated to consumers to actually read whatever it is you're using, and then consumers can smile. Areas where they're supposed to be, areas that are delineated to be band A, but they're not getting band A service, all of this should be addressed. Because when discos take over areas, we've seen this complacency in attending to complaints from consumers. It's almost like you are at their mercy. You have no option. So there is this monopolistic tendency in the manner in which they treat consumers. For states that have been able to generate their own power and distribute to certain parts of the state, I commend them. Lagos State, Edo State, and maybe a few other states who are on that track. they can do more. So that way we bring in some competition. No distribution company feels like if they don't give you power, if you don't pay whatever it is they're charging you, it means you are going to be in the dark, or you have to make do with alternative power supply. That's a good thing coming on board. But however, I fear that if we were to replicate this, or if other states were to push for this, they would be able to manage the system. So we don't return to what we had with the former NEPA situation, where it was just, we didn't see much of investment ongoing, power wasn't being distributed, many places were in blackout, and we did not see that light that we wanted to see having the power sector operate. So I'm hoping that this would even further lead to more investment. The discos now being made to invest in that sector, not people buying transformers, paying for it, paying the disco to install it, and at the end of the day, you're told it's the property of the disco. So these are the changes that we expect to see with Lagos State coming on board. And if other states want to replicate this, then of course they should have the expertise, they should have the muscle, financial muscle to actually run it.